I now want to introduce Sarah Nybart of Morristown, New Jersey, the treasurer of the class of 2014. Sarah will receive a Bachelor of Arts degree with majors in political science and Middle Eastern studies. On campus, she's worked with the Associated Students of Madison, the Greek System, and many other student organizations to further student engagement with the Wisconsin idea among students, faculty, and staff. Sarah looks forward to working at the Heritage Foundation, a Washington, D.C. think tank, following graduation. I'm pleased to invite Sarah to introduce our keynote speaker. Sarah.
Thank you, Chancellor Blank, for your kind remarks. Standing up for what is right is hard. Conflict is never easy, and what is even more challenging is going against the status quo. Governor Jon Huntsman has made a career out of challenging the bureaucratic systems that benefit from gridlock and indecision in our government. Governor Huntsman has a successful career in public service in both Democratic and Republican administrations. He has worked as the governor for the state of Utah, but also the ambassador to China as well as Singapore, and a businessman. In addition to his remarkable career in public service, he is currently the co-chair of No Labels, an organization that is committed to bringing the American public together to develop pragmatic solutions to help our government and sustain our democracy. Governor Huntsman has been a long advocate for encouraging leaders to work across the aisle to solve problems, and that cooperation is the foundation of No Labels. Huntsman's focus on solving problems instead of fighting is validated with the 77% re-election rate in 2008. Under his leadership, Utah was also named the best managed state. Governor Huntsman believes that leaders need to put their country first before their party. As a young person who hopes to pursue a career in politics, Governor Huntsman inspires me to reach across party lines and take ownership of my responsibilities. He is here today to challenge us to do what is right, even if it is not necessarily the popular opinion. As you listen to Governor Huntsman, challenge yourself to think, if you could change one thing, what would it be? As a community, how can we live outside our own comfort zones and make this world a better place? And if not for ourselves, for our families, for our friends sitting right next to us, for our University of Wisconsin-Madison committee, and our badgers to come after us. Please help me in welcoming the 2014 commencement speaker, Governor Jon Huntsman.
Thank you. Come on, graduates, does life get any better than this? Unbelievable. Sarah, thanks for the kind introduction. Chancellor Blank, thank you. Faculty who are here, without you, none of this would be possible. All I can say is I really look forward to jumping around with this very distinguished group on the stage a little bit later. We're going to hold them to it. And believe me, as a commencement speaker, this year, I feel particularly lucky just to be standing before you, if you know what I mean. So thank you for your hospitality and your good wishes. Now, I want to thank you for letting me share what is particularly a historic day today, because I'm pretty excited that I'm the first commencement speaker in 25 years who gets to stand in Camp Randall and say those timeless, important words, "Go Badgers!" What a time to come to Wisconsin. Lake Mendota is unfrozen. The chairs are back out at Memorial Union. And everywhere I go, someone is offering me a brat or some of those cheese curd things. I think I can hang for a while around here. But I want to begin by saying to all you graduates, the bottom line is we are here for you. Congratulations. All that studying, all those papers, all those exams have led to this, a failed rock and roll musician as your commencement speaker. Now, it's easy to forget what a great achievement this is, but you know what? Your moms and dads, your grandparents aren't going to forget. So I'd like to ask the moms and dads and grandparents to stand up in this audience. Please, show us who you are. And graduates, show them a little love. That's quite a sight. And your brothers and sisters and your friends are not going to forget how important this is, and your faculty will not forget how important this is. And you know what? Young folks from all over this world would give almost anything for a chance at this incredible journey that you've had here, and the even more incredible journey that you are starting today. Because you walk out of here, you'll feel a little different. You might not notice it at first, but you will be different. You'll be a college graduate. You'll be alumni. And a lot of you will be making a beeline to the Abraham Lincoln statue on Bascom Hill if you haven't already. I have to say it's an honor to share this day with President Lincoln. He was a little more successful in his campaign for the presidency. And it's amazing to think how far we've come since his time, and how in some ways his example is more relevant today than ever before. Of course, we're not facing anything like the divisions that Lincoln faced, but in many ways, our ideal of union, national union, is under challenge. You don't need an opinion poll to see it. Just ask someone in line at the grocery store. Just flip on the TV. It's pretty clear that this isn't the finest moment in political history. Our Constitution created one of the best pieces of machinery in history, our system of self-government. And in some ways, that system is under stress and breaking down. But here's the thing that I want you as graduates to remember. The breakdown in that machine isn't a mechanical failure. It's a human failure. Let me repeat that. What we are experiencing at the national level isn't a mechanical failure, it's a human failure. Now, here's the good news about human failures. They all have human solutions. If a driver grinds the gears in neutral and doesn't go anywhere, the car isn't broken. The car can still move, it just needs someone to shift it back into gear. And not to put too much pressure on you all today, but that someone is you. Your generation can get us out of this mess. Your generation can save our republic, and starting today. So you guys have any plans this afternoon? Okay, so why am I so confident? I'm confident because your generation is different than mine. You've learned from our mistakes. You expect more, not just from your leaders, but from each other. Your generation has a louder megaphone, a better toolbox than anyone before you, and you've shown that you're not afraid to use them. If you see an obstacle, if you see a snag in the system, you don't just wait around for someone to fix it, you build an app, or better yet, a movement that fixes it. We've seen that right here. Last year, when 1,000 people died when an unsafe factory collapsed in Bangladesh, Wisconsin wasn't tied to that tragedy, but still your student body stood up in response. Now Wisconsin won't work with any Bangladeshi factory unless it agrees to strong safety standards. That's how your generation approaches challenges. If you feel let down by the people in power, you stand up and you let them know, because you reject the idea that problems can't be solved. So it is you, the class of 2014, that must demand that our leaders be problem solvers once again. I know it's a big responsibility, but I also somehow sense that you will be up for it. The good news is, we're not starting from scratch. There are a lot of great ideas out there, out here in the heartland, from redistricting in this country, which is a mess, to term limits for Congress, which needs to be discussed once again, to campaign finance reform, because everybody knows it's an abomination the way we're doing it today. I think Americans have a pretty good idea of what has to be done. The problem is, today's political culture drives people away from each other and away from solutions. More and more we define ourselves by our differences. More and more we go off in our separate camps and only listen to the opinions we already agree with. Now that's a recipe for gridlock. That's a recipe for going absolutely nowhere. So if I can get one message across to all of you graduates, you can forget everything else I say, it is this: it doesn't have to be this way. The partisan warfare we're seeing is not inevitable, and there's no reason it needs to define your future. In fact, the seeds of change have already been planted. We see that here at Wisconsin, where college Republicans and Democrats meet to talk in the bipartisan issues group. Some of you are members of that. And we see it in a movement that I'm honored to help lead called No Labels. Now, this movement is based in living rooms and at kitchen tables all across this country. Hundreds of thousands of citizens have signed on. Thanks to them, this simple idea that we can't let labels hold us back anymore, that it's time we put country ahead of party, that it's time we put the next generation ahead of the next election cycle, has spread to every corner of this nation and even in Washington. And in the nation's capital today, nearly 100 Republicans and Democrats in Congress, imagine this, are meeting regularly to find a new way forward, a new center of gravity. These folks are committed to solving problems and not playing politics, and together they're helping to form a bloc inside the Congress, a group of people determined to finally end the gridlock and to start getting things done. It's a transformative idea, and it's taking root even now. This movement recognizes something very basic, and it is this: you don't have to agree on everything to work together on something. You don't ask your neighbors who they voted for before you work together in building your community or volunteering to help those in need. That's the way our democracy ought to work. People ought to have strong beliefs, and there will be disagreements ultimately, but that shouldn't stop us from progress as Americans first and foremost. When you leave this school, no matter what you do, whether you become an educator, a small business owner, or even get into public service, you should never, ever wall yourself off. It's always important to push beyond your comfort zone, to challenge your internal compass, to strengthen your ideas and your sense of the world. You know, it has been said that most innovation does not happen in a lab. It happens in the cafeteria. You have someone studying electrical engineering sitting across the table from someone doing ancient Greek philosophy, and you start a conversation. This is the real root of innovation. Sound familiar to all of you? That's the world you've been living here at Wisconsin. Some of you spend most of your time in Science Hall. Others practically live in humanities. Some of you, I am told, like it over at Lakeshore better. And some of you are Southeast types through and through. You come from different backgrounds, you've studied different things, and you've got different goals and aspirations. But still, you get along. You share the same sun on Bascom Hill. And on matters, doesn't matter to you at all when you link arms and sing varsity when you're feeling extra proud of this great school that you all share in common. This is the way progress gets made, when we refuse, despite our differences, to write each other off. Because in this great national union of ours, every person counts. So friends, our nation can't afford any more fighting. We must begin fixing. We can't afford any more division or disengagement or cynicism. If we keep wasting our promise and potential, mark my words, our great nation will, in fact, fall behind. And my generation isn't finished yet, but as the power passes to you and your generation, you don't have to repeat our mistakes. You can go out there and be smarter. You can be out there and be more open-minded and more united than we ever were. Because America needs that. America needs you right now, right away. We need problem solvers in our communities, problem solvers in our businesses, problem solvers in our schools, in our labs, and in our homes. If you choose that path, it's thrilling to imagine what you can and will achieve. You have the tools and the know-how and the spirit to do something great, not just for yourselves, but for your country. You've all been schooled in the Wisconsin idea. The notion that your education should reach well beyond the classroom, that you have a responsibility to use what you've learned to promote the public good, to help others, to serve. You have that opportunity today. So please, go out and seize this moment, seize this chance. Go out there and do something great. But before you do that, go out and celebrate. Because, folks, you have earned it. And finally, never forget to do a little jumping around on Wisconsin.